Welcome to CreepyTalks, where hidden fears come alive through chilling horror tales. Dare to listen as every story pulls you deeper into the darkness. Story 1. The Room That Wasn't on the Map. I checked into the Maple Crest Hotel during a work trip in late 2019. The place was tucked beside an empty stretch of highway, far from the city noise. From the outside, it looked peaceful. 2 floors, old brick, cedar trees surrounding it like guards. But the moment I stepped through the lobby doors, something felt off. The air was heavy, not dusty, not smelly, just heavy. The front desk lady, silver hair, tired eyes, hands trembling slightly, looked at me like she'd been expecting me a little too much. "You're booked for one night?" she asked softly. "Yes, under the name Daniel." She typed slowly, almost nervously, then handed me a key card. "Room 223, second floor, left wing." She hesitated before adding, "And please, stay on your floor at night. The elevator doesn't work properly after midnight." That last part felt rehearsed, like she'd said it before, many times, but always with fear. I shrugged it off. Old hotels always have quirks. The lobby looked normal: faded wooden counters, warm lights, old carpet with a floral pattern. But the deeper I walked into the building, the colder it got, as if the temperature dropped 1 degree every 10 steps. The stairs creaked under my feet. The second-floor hallway was long and dim, lined with pale yellow bulbs that flickered every few minutes. The carpet smelled like old perfume mixed with dust, something nostalgic and uncomfortable at the same time. I reached room 223 near the end of the hall, slid the key card, the lock clicked, and the moment I pushed the door open, a wave of cold air washed over me. Not AC cold, dead cold. I stepped inside. Standard room, queen-size bed, wooden desk, single chair, small wardrobe, and a window looking out at the empty parking lot. Everything seemed normal until my eyes landed on something strange. The metal number plate inside the door frame said 221, not 223, 221. It wasn't a sticker or a tag. It was carved into the frame itself. Old, permanent. I frowned. Maybe they reused door frames during renovation. Happens sometimes. But something about that number bothered me. I ignored it and tried to settle in. Took a shower, answered some emails, ate a sandwich I bought from the gas station across the highway. Slowly, the cold in the room faded, but a weird tension stayed, like someone was watching from just outside my peripheral vision. At around 10:45 p.m., the AC clicked off suddenly. The air went still. Then I heard soft footsteps in the hallway. Slow, dragging, not heavy enough for boots, not light enough for slippers. I listened. The footsteps stopped directly outside my door. Then knock, knock, knock. 3 soft, deliberate knocks, not impatient, not accidental, like someone knocking to confirm whether I was inside. My heart thumped painfully. I approached the peephole and looked. Nothing. Empty hallway. I opened the door slowly. No one. The lights flickered again. A cold breeze brushed past my face and into the room, even though the hallway wasn't cold at all. I locked the door and stepped back. The room phone suddenly blinked with a voicemail notification. I hadn't used the phone. Curious and uneasy, I picked it up. The message was only 5 seconds long, but those 5 seconds froze my blood. A woman's whisper, shaky, terrified, speaking as if she was inches away from the mic. "Don't stay in 221. They can't see you in 221, but they can find you." Then a sharp, choked inhale. Message ended. I dropped the receiver. 221. That number again. I checked the inner frame. Still 221. Outside, still 223. I couldn't understand any of it. Around midnight, I was sitting on the bed trying to make sense of the message when I heard a sudden creak from the closet. I looked. The closet door was slightly open. I definitely hadn't left it like that. "Hello?" I said stupidly. No response. I approached slowly. The door inched open further, and a burst of cold air spilled out like the inside of a freezer. My breath fogged. Then I saw it. A tall, thin silhouette inside the closet. Human-shaped, but too tall. Neck slightly bent, head tilted. No eyes, no mouth, just a darker shadow within darkness. It stepped forward. The floor creaked under a weight that didn't match its form. I backed away instantly. My legs shook so much I could barely stand. "What do you want?" I whispered. The thing tilted its head further, in a unnatural, bone-cracking movement. It took another step. Then, the fire alarm exploded into sound. Red lights flashed. The closet door slammed shut hard. I ran out of the room without looking back. When I reached the lobby, the front desk lady was already outside the office, her hands trembling against her chest. "You saw something, didn't you?" she asked quietly. "There's something in room 223 or 221. I don't know." She shook her head firmly. "There is no room 223 in the left wing." She pulled out a laminated map of the hotel. The second floor left wing ended at room 220. No 221. No 223. The hallway I had walked down didn't even exist on the map. That entire wing was sealed after a fire 30 years ago, she whispered. No electricity, no phone lines, no working doors, no climate control. I stared at her. But I walked in. My key card worked. I heard knocks. I got a voicemail. The AC, she nearly cried. It calls people sometimes it shouldn't, but it does. I didn't sleep that night. In the morning, a manager apologized and said they'd look into the glitch, but there was no glitch, no rational explanation. I asked for my bag. They said they couldn't access the sealed wing. My bag is probably still there, with whatever stood in that closet. Sometimes when I'm half asleep, drifting between waking and dreaming, I hear that whisper again, soft, trembling, terrified. Don't stay in 221. And I know she wasn't warning me about the room. She was warning me about the thing that still lives inside it. Story 2. The woman who knocks at 3:12 a.m. I was traveling to Lisbon, Portugal for a 3-day technology summit in early 2022. The company booked us into a business hotel in the Alfama district, a clean, modern, glass-front building right beside the old stone streets. It was the kind of hotel that felt too bright, too lively to be unnerving. Families in the lobby, tourists laughing, music playing from the cafe, perfectly normal. At least that's what I thought. My room was on the 8th floor, facing the city. First 2 nights, smooth, boring, nothing odd. But on the 3rd night, everything changed. It was around 2:40 a.m., and I was still awake, scrolling through emails when I noticed the hallway lights outside my door flicker. Just once. A quick stutter in the brightness. Old wiring, maybe. I didn't think much of it. Then I heard something, a faint tapping. Not on my door, not footsteps, more like long fingernails brushing slowly across the wall. Tap, tap, tap. I sat up straight. The sound traveled down the hallway, getting closer, then stopping exactly outside my room. Silence, a heavy, unnatural silence. Then, knock, knock, knock. 3 slow, spaced-out knocks. My skin tightened instantly. Nobody knocks like that at almost 3 a.m., unless something is terribly wrong. I approached the peephole cautiously. Someone stood there. A woman, barefoot, wearing a loose, pale dress that looked more like a hospital gown. long dark hair falling around her shoulders, slightly covering her face. Her head was bowed, hiding her eyes. "Hola?" I called through the door. "Senora, are you okay? Do you need help?" No answer, just slow, shaky breathing. Against my better judgment, I unlocked the door chain halfway and opened it just an inch. "Are you lost?" I asked. Very slowly. She lifted her head. Her skin was unnaturally pale, almost translucent. Her eyes were wide open but empty, expressionless, like she had forgotten how to blink. She stared directly at me, then whispered, "Is this your room?" Her voice was soft, too soft, like it came from far away, not from her mouth. "Yes," I said uncertainly. "Why? Do you need something?" Her lips curled into a strange, forced smile. Then she stepped toward the door. "Not anymore," she whispered. I panicked and slammed the door fast, locking the chain. The handle twisted violently from the other side. Once, twice, then stopped. For a moment, I just stood there shaking. After 30 seconds of silence, I called reception. "There's a woman outside my door. She tried to come in. You need to send security." Security arrived quickly, 2 guards. They searched the hallway thoroughly. Nothing. No woman, no footprints, no trace anyone had been there. What scared me more was what came next. One guard checked the hallway CCTV feed. He rewound the footage to 3:12 a.m., the exact time of the knock. The hallway looked empty, perfectly empty. But then, the footage showed my door opening by itself, just a few inches, me peeking out. But there was no one in front of the door, no woman, no shadow, no figure, just me staring into an empty hallway. I felt sick. "Where is she?" I whispered. The guard looked uncomfortable. "You should not open the door at 3:12 a.m., he said quietly. "Why?" He hesitated, lowered his voice. 6 years ago, a guest on this floor, room 809, died unexpectedly. She had a mental health episode, according to reports. Other guests saw her wandering barefoot, confused, knocking on doors, asking them the same question." He swallowed. "Is this your room?" A shiver crawled down my spine. "She died in her room later that night," he continued. "But the security cameras, they went dark 10 minutes before her death. No footage of her last movements." He looked down the hallway nervously. "Since then, the night staff hears knocks at 3:12 a.m., always around that time, but the cameras show no one there." I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. The next evening, I placed a chair under the door handle and kept every light on. But as the clock approached 3:12 a.m., my heartbeat grew louder. I sat silently on the bed. 3:11 a.m., 3:12 a.m., right on time, knock, 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 slow, soft, measured. I couldn't breathe. Then the peephole went completely dark, as if something was covering it with a hand. I didn't move. A whisper came through the bottom of the door. "Is this your room?" My heart slammed against my ribs. "You have to answer. Is this your room?" Her voice shifted, trembling, desperate. I held my breath, paralyzed. After 10 long seconds, she stopped. The peephole light returned. Footsteps, soft, dragging, moved away down the hallway. She was leaving, searching for another door, another person. The next morning, I packed instantly and went to the front desk. The receptionist, a Portuguese woman named Clara, looked at me with tired eyes. "You're checking out early?" "Yes," I said. "Something is wrong with this floor." She nodded slowly, not surprised. "If she knocks," Clara said softly, "never answer. Never open the door. She's looking for a room, looking for someone to take her place." I felt a chill run through me. Her place? Where? Clara glanced at the elevator. We don't know. But whatever she was running from in the moments before she died, she still thinks is chasing her. I left without looking back. Months later, in a different country, I woke up at 3:12 a.m. unexpectedly. No knocks, no woman, but I felt the same cold fear. Because even now, sometimes in the silence of the night, I swear I hear a faint whisper. Is this your room? Story 3. The Guest Who Never Checked Out. The hotel was in Prague, Czech Republic, a place famous for its Gothic beauty, cobblestone streets, and centuries-old secrets that everyone pretends not to know. When Lucas Meyer, a 27-year-old travel photographer from Germany, booked his room at the Golden Raven Hotel, he had no idea he was sharing it with someone who wasn't alive anymore and who refused to leave. The arrival Lucas checked in late at night, dragging his backpack through the narrow hallway. The hotel looked old, older than the pictures online. The wallpaper was peeling, the chandeliers flickered like dying candles, and every floorboard complained under his footsteps. The receptionist, Elena, handed him the key. Room 407. Just so you know, she said softly, if you hear anything at night, it's probably the heating. This is an old building. Except the way she said it didn't sound convincing. More like she was repeating a line she had been trained to say. Lucas shrugged it off and headed upstairs. The first night, room 407 wasn't bad. Small, clean enough, a bit cold. He showered, unpacked his camera, and sat on the bed to plan tomorrow's shoot. That's when he heard it. Footsteps, slow, heavy, measured, in his own room. He froze. The footsteps weren't coming from the hall. They were coming from inside the bathroom. Lucas grabbed the nearest object, a metal water bottle, and slowly walked toward the bathroom door. The footsteps stopped. He pushed the door open. Nothing. Empty. He let out a breath and tried to laugh it off. Old building. Heating pipes. Elena had warned him. He went to bed. At around 3:40 a.m., he woke up to the sound of someone breathing. Right beside him. Deep, raspy, wet breathing. Lucas turned his head, heart pounding. No one was there, but the sheets beside him looked slightly pressed down, like someone had been sitting there. He didn't sleep again. The second night, Lucas decided to ignore everything. He spent the day exploring Prague, taking pictures of cathedrals and old bridges, but every now and then, he felt like someone was following him, a cold presence right behind his shoulder. Back at the hotel, he told Elena, I think someone was in my room last night. Her face drained of color, but she forced an awkward smile. There are no unauthorized entries here, Mr. Meyer, but if you wish, we can move you to another floor. Before he could answer, the old security guard nearby glared at Elena and shook his head sharply, as if telling her to stop talking. Lucas chose to stay. A new room meant packing again, and he was too tired. At midnight, the hotel became silent again. And then, tap, tap, tap. Someone knocked on his room door, but not like a normal knock. It was slow, like a single finger tapping the wood. He didn't open it. The tapping stopped. He checked the peephole. The hallway was empty. Then, wham! Something slammed against the door so hard that the entire frame shook. Lucas stumbled back, heart racing. He grabbed his phone and called the reception. Elena, someone's banging on my door. Her voice trembled. Don't open it, Mr. Meyer. No matter what you hear, do not open the door. The banging stopped immediately, as if whoever was outside heard her. Lucas didn't sleep that night either. The photograph morning light finally arrived. Lucas, exhausted and jittery, sat on the edge of his bed scrolling through the pictures he had taken the previous day. But something caught his eye. In one of the photos, Taken on the Charles Bridge, he noticed a shape behind him. A man, tall, dark suit, pale face, standing only inches behind him. But Lucas hadn't seen anyone when he took the shot. He zoomed in. The man's face was blurry, like motion blur. But Lucas had shot with a fast shutter speed. Motion blur shouldn't have happened. And the man's eyes, black, completely black. Lucas shut his laptop and decided to leave the hotel, even if he lost his booking money. But he wanted answers first. The reception truth. Elena, he demanded, what happened in room 407? Who stayed there before me? She looked terrified. She glanced around as if checking if someone was listening. Finally, she whispered, 3 years ago, a guest named Victor Havel checked in, room 407. He was traveling alone. No family. He never came down again. After 2 days, housekeeping entered the room and found him. She swallowed hard, dead, sitting on the bed, facing the window, like he was waiting for someone. Lucas felt his stomach drop. What did he die of? No one knows. But ever since then, guests in room 407 complain about footsteps, breathing, someone knocking on the doors. And you still rent the room? Lucas snapped. We have no choice, she whispered. But no one stays more than one night. You're the first in years. The old security guard approached them suddenly. His voice was low and trembling. If he followed you into your photos, you need to leave. Now. Lucas didn't wait another second. He ran to the stairwell, grabbed his bag from the room as fast as he could, and rushed out of the hotel. But as he reached the door, he spotted something. Room 407's door was open, just slightly, as if someone was expecting him to return. And inside the dark room, someone stood near the bed, a tall shadow, a man in a dark suit, staring at him. The final night, Lucas didn't stop running until he reached a different hotel across the city. He bolted his door, shut the curtains, and collapsed on the bed. Safe at last. At least he thought so. Around 3:40 a.m., the same time he woke up the first night, his phone vibrated. A message. Unknown number. One photograph. His heart almost stopped when he opened it. It was a picture of his new hotel room door, taken from the hallway, taken from right outside. Someone was standing there, in a dark suit, pale face, black eyes. The same figure from room 407. And the message under the image said, "You checked out. I didn't." Lucas left Prague the next morning, but sometimes when he reviews his photos, he still sees the same pale figure behind him, watching, following, waiting, because some hotel guests check out late and others never check out at all. Story 4. The room service that wasn't human. The Blackwood Crest Hotel in Edinburgh, Scotland, was known for two things: its breathtaking view of the old city and the rumor that at night the hallways came alive. Most guests brushed the stories off, but Marissa Quinn, a 32-year-old writer from Canada, would soon learn that some rumors are warnings. Warnings the living should take seriously. The check-in. Marissa arrived during a gloomy evening. Fog had swallowed the streets of Edinburgh, and the hotel stood like a dark tower rising from the mist. The lobby felt warm and elegant, though strangely quiet. At the reception, an elderly man with silver hair smiled faintly. "Welcome to Blackwood Crest, Miss Quinn. Room 512, top floor." His name tag read Alistair. As he handed her the key card, he added, "If you require room service at night, please call the desk first. Do not open the door unless you hear your order being repeated back to you." "Exactly." Marissa frowned. "What does that mean?" Alistair's smile faded. "Just a precaution. Old building, you know. Strange acoustics. But the tone in his voice hinted at something else, something he wasn't saying. The first incident, Marissa settled into her room, ordered a light dinner, and began typing notes for her new mystery novel. Hours passed, and the night deepened. Around 1:15 a.m., a soft knock sounded at her door. Knock, knock, knock. She hadn't ordered anything. "Hello?" she called. No answer. Then a voice muffled and unnervingly calm. "Room service." Marissa's skin crawled. I didn't order room service." The voice repeated exactly the same tone like a recording. "Room service." Her heart thudded. Something felt off, like the voice wasn't really speaking, but imitating. "I said I didn't order anything." Silence. Then the handle twitched. Slowly, deliberately. Marissa stumbled back from the door, heart hammering. A soft scratching noise dragged across the bottom of the door, as if something long and thin was tracing the gap. Then, silence. Marissa stayed awake until morning. Breakfast and warning. The next day, she approached Alistair at the front desk. "Someone came to my room last night," she said. "They tried to open the door." Alistair went pale. "What did they say?" "Just room service." "Did you open the door?" "No." He exhaled in relief. "Good. Whatever you do, Miss Quinn, never open your door past midnight unless I personally confirm your order." Marissa pressed him. "What exactly is going on here?" Alistair hesitated. His eyes shifted nervously toward the upper floors. "There used to be a guest," he whispered. "A young man named Stephen Crowley. He worked as part-time room service staff. One night he entered the wrong room. The guest inside panicked and pushed him. He fell down the service elevator shaft." Marissa swallowed hard. "He died instantly," Alistair continued. "Since then, some guests report hearing knocks at night, someone offering room service, someone who doesn't work here anymore." Marissa felt chills crawl across her spine. The second incident that night, around 12:50 a.m., Marissa sat typing, trying to distract herself. Knock, knock, knock. She froze. The same slow rhythm. Then the voice. "Room service." Marissa's throat went dry. "You have the wrong room." The voice paused, then repeated again in that same emotionless tone. "Room service." She backed away from the door. The handle trembled once more. A low exhale, wet and rattling, came from the other side. This wasn't a person. It didn't breathe like a person. Marissa grabbed her phone and called the reception. "Alistair, it's happening again." His voice was hushed and urgent. "Do not speak to it. Do not answer. It mimics voices. Stay quiet." The knocking grew louder. Knock, knock, knock. Then something slid under the door. A piece of folded paper. Marissa stared at it, terrified. Slowly, she bent down and picked it up. Inside, in shaky handwriting, "Let me in. I won't fall this time." Her blood ran cold. The hallway. Marissa couldn't take it anymore. She grabbed her laptop, jacket, and shoes. If she stayed in the room, something terrible would happen. She waited until the footsteps outside faded. Then she opened her door a crack. The hallway was empty, but the carpet was wet, like someone dripping water had walked through recently. Marissa hurried toward the elevator. As she reached the end of the hallway, the lights flickered. A tall figure stood at the far end. A young man. Dark hair, pale skin, clothes torn and stained. He was holding a silver tray, tilted sideways, as if one arm wasn't working properly. His head twitched unnaturally, like a broken puppet, and in a dead, hollow whisper, he said, "Rome! Service!" Marissa ran. The chase. Her footsteps thundered down the hallway. Behind her, dragging noises echoed. the tray scraping the wall, the limp arm tapping against the floor. "Miss Quinn," the voice croaked, cracking apart like broken glass. "Don't push me." She reached the elevator and slammed the button repeatedly. The doors began to open, but slowly, agonizingly slowly. She looked over her shoulder. He was getting closer, his neck bent at a horrifying angle. His fingers scraped the wall, leaving pale streaks. The elevator door finally opened. Marissa jumped inside and hit lobby. Just as the doors closed, a pale hand slapped against the gap. Fingers bent and twitching. He whispered one last time, "Let me in." The doors shut. Darkness swallowed the ghost. The exit, Marissa ran straight to the reception, breathless. Alistair immediately knew. "You saw him." She nodded, shaking violently. He grabbed an old iron key from under the desk. "Go. Now. Leave your things. Don't look back. He follows only within this building." Marissa didn't stop to think. She rushed out of the Blackwood Crest into the cold Edinburgh night, fog swirling around her like white smoke. She didn't return for her belongings. The hotel mailed them to her later, with one exception, a silver room service tray, bent, scratched, and wet. Marissa never asked how it ended up with her things, but sometimes in the middle of the night, she hears a soft knock on her apartment door. Knock, 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 followed by a whisper, "Room service," and she knows some doors should never be opened, no matter where you are. Story 5, The Child in the Mirror. The Silverline Grand Resort in Budapest, Hungary, was a place people loved for its sparkling marble halls, indoor pools, and massive antique mirrors imported from old European estates. But if the staff had been honest, they would have told guests one thing: never stay in room 329, never sleep facing the mirror, and never, ever talk to the child inside it. The arrival Daniel Rourke, a 29-year-old software engineer from Ireland, checked into the Silverline Grand for a 3-day business workshop. He arrived late, exhausted from the flight and annoyed to find that the hotel was overbooked. The receptionist, a nervous woman named Esther, apologized profusely. "We only have one room left, sir. Room 329. Is that acceptable?" Daniel didn't care. He just wanted a bed. Yes, as long as it has Wi-Fi." She paused too long before nodding. "It does. If you need anything, call us, even at night." Her tone was strange, almost pleading. Daniel took the key and headed upstairs. Room 329. The room was beautiful, old-fashioned, elegant, and dominated by one thing: a floor-to-ceiling antique mirror right across from the bed. It looked expensive. It looked ancient. It looked out of place. Daniel wasn't superstitious, so he shrugged and unpacked. But the moment he turned the lights off, he noticed the room felt colder than before, like the air itself was breathing differently. He pushed the thought away and fell asleep. The first night, Daniel woke at 2:37 a.m., not because of a noise, but because he felt someone watching him. His eyes drifted to the mirror. In the dim light, he saw something, a small shape standing beside the bed. A child, a young boy, maybe 7 or 8, skin pale, eyes too wide, face blank, tilted slightly as if curious. Daniel choked on his breath and switched on the lamp. The room was empty, but in the mirror, the boy was still standing there, staring at him. Daniel gripped the blankets, heart pounding. "This is a dream," he whispered. "Jet lag. That's all." The boy in the mirror lifted his hand slowly and waved. Daniel bolted upright and turned the mirror around so it faced the wall. He slept with the lights on. The warning in the morning, Daniel went down to reception. "There was a kid in my room last night, in the mirror." Esther's face drained of color. Did he speak to you? No. Did you speak to him? Of course not. She exhaled with relief. Good. He only grows stronger when someone answers him. Daniel frowned. What are you talking about? She hesitated, then whispered. Room 329 is old. That mirror is even older. It belonged to a noble family. Their son, Laurent, died under tragic circumstances. They said he got trapped on the other side. Daniel rubbed his temples. You realize how insane that sounds? Esther leaned forward. Just don't acknowledge him. And whatever you do, never let the mirror face the bed at night. Daniel laughed it off, convincing himself she was feeding into some Hungarian ghost story nonsense. But deep down, he wasn't so sure. The second night, Daniel spent the day at his workshop, distracted and unsettled. When he returned to the room, he noticed something terrifying. The mirror was no longer turned to the wall. It stood facing the bed again. He froze. The cleaning staff wouldn't have moved it. Why would they? He stepped closer, cautiously. His reflection looked normal. No child. He sighed with relief. Night fell. At 3:02 a.m., he woke up to whispering, soft, childlike, coming from inside the glass. Hey, do you want to play? Daniel's entire body went numb. He didn't answer. The voice grew sadder. Please, I'm lonely. Daniel clenched his jaw, refusing to speak. Slow, shuffling footsteps echoed behind the glass, as if someone was pacing inside a tiny room. Then a small hand pressed against the inside of the mirror. The glass frosted under the touch. Daniel grabbed a blanket and threw it over the mirror. Silence again. He barely slept. The third night, the mistake. The next evening, Daniel demanded a new room. Esther apologized again. I'm sorry, sir. Everything is booked. There's a huge medical conference in town. But you're checking out tomorrow, right? Daniel nodded. He just had to get through one more night. He decided he'd sleep without facing the mirror, maybe even on the couch. At 11:30 p.m., his mother called from Ireland. They talked for a while, and Daniel paced back and forth. Without thinking, he pulled the blanket off the mirror so he could fix his hair. That's when he saw it. The child, standing right behind him, so close his head almost touched Daniel's shoulder. His voice was a whisper inside Daniel's ear. You finally looked at me. Daniel stumbled backward, almost dropping the phone. His mom shouted, Daniel, what happened? But he couldn't speak. He couldn't move. The child in the mirror's expression changed, no longer sad, now smiling, too widely, his teeth too many. A shadow rose behind the boy, stretching like long fingers across the mirror's surface. Daniel whispered before he could stop himself. What? What do you want? The boy's eyes widened with delight. He had spoken. The mirror cracked. The child's voice echoed, no longer soft. Now I can come out. The mirror breaks. Daniel tried to run, but the lights went out. The room plunged into darkness. Glass began to snap behind him like ice breaking on a frozen lake. A voice giggled. Small footsteps pattered on the floor. He wasn't in the mirror anymore. He was in the room. Daniel's breath hitched as cold fingers brushed the back of his neck. He didn't look. He couldn't. A whisper right behind him said, Play with me forever. Daniel sprinted out of the room, barefoot, slamming the door behind him. He ran all the way down the hallway, down the stairs into the lobby where Esther and two night guards stared in shock. What happened? Esther yelled. The boy! He's out! He's in the room! I heard him! The guards rushed upstairs. They came back pale. The mirror, it shattered from the inside, one whispered. Esther grabbed a rosary from the drawer, hands shaking. We need to seal the room again. The aftermath. Daniel checked out of the Silverline Grand at dawn, leaving behind his luggage, laptop, and clothes. He didn't care. He just wanted to leave hungry. A week later, the hotel emailed him. Your belongings have been shipped. However, one item could not be sent, the antique mirror frame from room 329. Daniel almost fainted. He hadn't touched the frame. Why would they think it belonged to him? That night, while brushing his teeth in his apartment back in Dublin, he noticed something in the corner of his bathroom mirror, a small handprint on the inside of the glass, and a faint whisper. We didn't finish our game. Story 6. The Woman on the 6th Floor. The Ravenhurst Palace Hotel in Lisbon, Portugal, was famous for its rooftop view, marble interiors, and a 6th floor that most guests believed was under renovation. But the truth was simpler and far more terrifying. The 6th floor wasn't empty. It was haunted by a woman who never accepted she was dead. The traveler Olivia Hart, a 34-year-old travel vlogger from Australia, arrived in Lisbon to shoot content for her channel. She always stayed in unique hotels around the world, so when she saw Ravenhurst Palace online, golden walls, chandelier halls, velvet carpets, she booked it instantly. At the reception, the manager, Miguel Costa, greeted her warmly. Welcome, Miss Hart. You'll be on the 5th floor, room 514. Olivia laughed. Any chance I can get the 6th floor? I heard it has the best views. Miguel's face instantly tightened. I'm sorry, but the 6th floor is closed to guests. Renovation? He hesitated too long. Yes, something like that. Olivia shrugged. She didn't care enough to push the topic, but that night she would regret not listening. The first night, Footsteps above the 5th floor was lively and fully booked. Olivia settled in, arranged her camera gear, and began planning the next day's vlog. Around 1 a.m., she heard footsteps above her, but not just walking, running, pacing, dragging something heavy. She frowned. I thought the 6th floor was closed. The footsteps continued for nearly an hour, then stopped abruptly. The elevator incident. The next morning, Olivia decided to snoop a little. She stepped into the elevator intending to go down for breakfast. The elevator door began closing, then froze. The display panel blinked strangely, and the elevator started rising. Past floor 2, past floor 3, past floor 4, past floor 5, straight to the sealed floor 6. The doors opened with a soft ding. Olivia's heart thudded. The hallway was dark, silent, cold, far colder than her floor. The air smelled old, like dust that hadn't been disturbed in years. But the strange thing was, the hallway lights were on, and at the far end stood a woman, tall, slender, long black hair covering her face, wearing a white dress soaked at the hem, as if she had walked out of a river. She turned her head slightly, though her hair still hid most of her face. Olivia backed into the elevator and hit close repeatedly. Just before the doors shut, the woman tilted her head in an eerie, unnatural angle, as if she had recognized Olivia. The hotel staff's fear. Olivia confronted Miguel at the reception. I saw someone on the 6th floor, a woman. Miguel dropped the stack of papers in his hands. You went up there? The elevator took me on its own. Miguel rubbed his face, terrified. He whispered, her name was Amalia Duarte. She lived here more than 80 years ago. Newly married, her husband worked in the hotel. One night she found him with another woman and threw herself from the 6th floor balcony. Olivia listened, stunned. We sealed that floor because guests kept hearing her, seeing her. She wanders, searching for anyone who reminds her of her husband's mistress. Olivia blinked. And what does she do when she finds them? Miguel's voice dropped. She tries to pull them over the railing so they can join her. Olivia felt a cold shiver run through her spine. The second night, the knock. Olivia stayed cautious the rest of the day, but at 2:11 a.m., she woke to a soft knock on her door. Tap, tap, tap. She froze. Housekeeping, a woman's voice whispered, but housekeeping never comes at 2 a.m. Her heart almost stopped. It wasn't a normal voice. It was wet, distant, like someone speaking through water. Olivia did not move. Housekeeping? This time the voice came from inside her room's walls. She covered her mouth, trembling. The doorknob twisted gently and then stopped. A whisper floated from outside. "You look like her." Olivia nearly screamed. She backed away from the door slowly. Then everything went silent. The video footage. The next morning, Olivia checked her hallway camera. She had set up a GoPro to record travel vlogs. At exactly 2:11 a.m., the moment she heard the knock, the camera caught something. A tall woman in a soaked white dress, standing outside her room. Her hair covered her face. Water pooled at her feet. She lifted her hand, placed it gently against Olivia's door, and whispered something that the microphone barely picked up. "Come with me." Then she evaporated like mist. Olivia slammed her laptop shut, shaking uncontrollably. The final night. The balcony. That night, Olivia decided she had had enough. She packed everything, planning to check out early. But the woman had other plans. At 3 a.m., Olivia heard the balcony door slide open. She hadn't touched it. The curtain swayed. Cold, wet wind drifted into the room. Olivia approached slowly. Standing on the balcony railing was the woman, Amalia, her long hair blowing in the wind, her dress dripping endlessly, though there was no rain, her arms hanging lifelessly at her sides. She turned her face slightly toward Olivia. Her skin was pale blue, her eyes black voids, her mouth torn at the corners, as if she had screamed too long. In a voice colder than winter, she whispered, "Look at me. Come stand where I stood." Olivia staggered back, but Amalia stepped down from the railing onto the balcony floor and began walking toward her. With every step, the balcony wood creaked violently, like it was protesting her presence. Olivia ran. She grabbed her bag, bolted out of the room, and sprinted down the hallway. Behind her, soft footsteps echoed. Wet, dragging footsteps. The elevator was too far. She raced to the stairs. As she ran downward, she glanced up. Amalia stood at the top of the staircase, staring down at her. Her head tilted, her lips moving soundlessly. And then she stepped forward. Straight down the staircase, not walking, falling, crashing. Her body hit every step without a sound, like she had no weight at all. Olivia screamed and ran faster. The escape. She burst into the lobby, trembling, drenched in cold sweat. Miguel rushed toward her. "You saw her, didn't you?" Olivia could only nod. Miguel whispered, "You must leave. Now." She attaches herself to fear. She only follows those who run. Those who run. Olivia felt her heart stop. Had she just made it worse? She left the hotel before dawn, taking the first flight out of Portugal. The last footage a week later, while editing her Lisbon vlog, Olivia found one final clip, a clip she didn't record. At 3:18 a.m., long after she had run from the room, her GoPro had activated on its own. In the footage, her empty hotel bed was visible, the balcony door wide open, and someone stepped slowly into the room. Amalia. She walked to the camera, knelt down, and tilted her head at an unnatural angle. Then, with a slow smile spreading across her torn lips, she whispered. I found you. The screen cut to static. Olivia hasn't posted a travel vlog since, because sometimes when she sleeps, she wakes up to wet footprints near her bedroom door. Footprints leading inside. Footprints leading closer. Some ghosts stay where they died. Others follow. And Amalia never lets go of the ones who remind her of betrayal.